founder of Disruptor London, an up-and-coming brand that is completely plastic-free and produces shampoo bars, both for hair, body, and scalp, and actually the beard as well. So I am looking forward to the conversation. We currently encounter some technical issues, so we will try and make it happen, but maybe you need to have 2-3 more minutes of patience. And in case the technical difficulties remain, let's do it differently than all the big transportation companies, and not postpone by another 5 minutes and another 5 minutes, but call it a day. In fact, maybe this is a sign from the universe that it is time for all of us to take a little break. No matter what, I'm looking forward to the conversation for several effects, because I think the topics that I would like to cover with Disruptor is obviously what their personal philosophy is, why they started the brand, but we can already see in the themes that they talk about a lot is the issue of overconsumption, and that's a theme that repeats itself in a lot of conversations that I have with cosmetic brands and with brands overall in the beauty sector. The other day I spoke to another founder of an up-and-coming brand, completely different product than what Disruptor does, but with a very similar mindset. And it was actually Ebru from Swipe, and she said, look, there's so many hundreds of creams out there that you should buy. It's like one for the eyes, one for men for the eyes, one for women for the eyes. For every little thing, there's creams out there, and in the end, this is leading to overconsumption, right? Because you're buying products for every single use case. And she only has 5 products on shelf, basically, and with that she can cover a big range of products. And this is where it all starts, right? It's like, if we actually consume the products that we buy instead of throwing them away half used, this is already having a big impact. And this is the theme of Disruptor as well, where if you go to their website, you won't find 15,000 different SKUs or 15,000 different products, but only a very select few that serve the purpose. And yeah, I'd be curious to talk to the team around that, obviously. And the other topic that I would love to cover is how they go about also changing people's behavior, because we all got accustomed to standard shampoo that comes out of a plastic bottle in most cases, where if you look back in history, we did use soap bars before, and I still can remember when I grew up, and I'm now 32 years old, that we did use soap bars in our home as well. I now have soap bars at home again as well, but it was a bit of a behavior shift. And yeah, how to go about that, what their feedback is from the community, how they address it, and how they plan to also grow from the small brand that they currently are into hopefully bigger brand that has more impact, reduces more packaging. And these would be the topics that we'd love to cover. We would want to talk a little bit about our partnership also that we have between CleanHub and Disruptor, but let's see if it happens. We're now 5 minutes past the time that we wanted to start, and I want to keep my promise to not keep you online forever and keep postponing. So as soon as the clock hits 5:07, we'll call it a day, and you can stop listening to my waffling and to all the things. But if you're already tuned in, I just want to share again, thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot for those that follow our journey since a while already. It's been a really interesting and impactful year here at CleanHub. We managed to break the 7 million kilograms of plastic collected mark, which was a fantastic internal milestone. We expanded and did a lot more social impact projects also on the side. Some of the plastic collectors managed to actually start their own little shops by now, so they can move out of plastic collection and have slightly different jobs. They manage to become entrepreneurs. There's so much happening left and right, that yeah, I can't wait for 2024 to start, even though I also admit that I'm looking forward to the Christmas break. And yeah, it looks like we will have to do this conversation together with Disruptor London early in the new year. So no, there we are.
Oh my
Perfect.
God. I thought this wasn't going to happen. I'm so sorry.
No worries. Hi, Sira. Pleasure to talk to you. And pleasure to see you again. Last time we met was at the London cleanup.
Yeah, that must
Well, we
have
actually got
been
our hands dirty.
April or May this
Yeah,
year. Yeah.
time flies.
Time indeed.
Actually, just a couple of weeks ago, I had Dan from FIS on, who was also there. I'm not sure if you
Yes, I
remember,
remember
but
him. Yeah. He
yeah,
yeah, I think it was his first intro to CleanHub
to
at
clean up.
Meetup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's good to see everybody again now that the year ends. And I already gave a little bit away about you and what you do, but maybe it would be fantastic if you can also tell us a little bit about what Disruptor is about, and also your personal philosophy and approach to uh, a cleaner planet, more sustainable planet.
Yeah, great. Well,
Start with that.
firstly, apologies to everyone for not being on time. Technical problems here from Madrid today. But yeah, really excited. It's my first in LinkedIn Live, and I think it's your last one for the year, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Disruptor London, we've been around for just over 2 years. We've been working on the concept and the brand from 2021, but launched at the end of last year. And we exist primarily just to raise awareness and address issues of plastic waste and overconsumption in the beauty industry. My background has been almost 2 decades in the beauty space, working with the big corporates, but also in indie brands and helping them scale into international markets. And one thing that really stood out for me and kind of pained me on a personal level was the complete disregard for packaging end of life and what happens
Mm.
once that product is sold. A lot of emphasis is obviously on efficacy of products, which is essential. That's why we buy these products, and the aesthetic. The branding is really, really key and important. But for me, it was, I think, COVID gave us the luxury of time to reflect on what we're doing in our lives and purpose and all of that good stuff. When you stop being the hamster on the wheel, and when we decided we wanted to create a brand, we were very clear about what the purpose of that brand needed to be and what our mission was. So we didn't have a product. We didn't even think about solid format shampoo bars at that time. But we were very clear that if we brought a market to an industry that's quite saturated with an offering, we needed to stand out. And what really helped us get to that vision was our personal commitment to the environment and just how we approach life in general. And I think, during this time of COVID, when you stop doing so much and giving so much of your time to other people and just life in general, it helps really put things into perspective.
Mm. It sounds really, really interesting, especially given the fact that you had 20 years of experience in the industry before. And in my intro, when I was bridging the time, I was looking back at the days when I grew up, which is a bit more than 20 years ago. I'm 32, and I still remember, especially at my grandparents' place, that there was always a soap bar in the shower and not the plastic bottles filled with the shampoo, right? And I'd be curious. You mentioned that in the beginning you didn't even think of that product, but how? What led you there? How did you come up with that product in the end?
Yeah, that's a really good question, but also it took me down memory lane because growing up in South Africa, our family, we would also have, one soap bar that served everyone and it
Mm,
served fine. And then we've come down, the last 20 or 30 years where we have so many options and we want a different product to do a different thing. And it's just, I think that consumerism and the fact that we can doesn't mean we should. So what led us down this route of the solid format is when we started off, we were starting off looking at doing things in the men's space because we feel that it's a category that's underrepresented when it comes to efficacious, interesting products. A lot of the products out there tend to speak the same alpha normative language to consumers, and it's really boring. And if you go down the aisles of a drugstore, like in the UK, we've got Boots and Superdrug, or even supermarket aisles. There's aisles and aisles and aisles dedicated to the other gender, and then you look at men's products, and it's just really uninspiring. That was the first entry point into this this entrepreneurship route, I'd say. But having done a lot of research, because we also formulate our products and do our own manufacturing, you kind of go down these rabbit holes of, is this the right thing to do? Is that the right category? Also informed with a lot of research, insights, trends, and any report that would come out would be of interest. And then we developed loads of formulas, had loads of different products that we wanted to talk about and bring to market. But where we really got stuck was in packaging and looking at different packaging options, whether it be glass, aluminium, different types of plastic, took us down a route of looking at the life cycle assessments of all of these products and what would be the most sustainable option. And I say that in inverted commas because there's no regulation around it. So sustainability would need to mean different things to different people, as we can see. So looking at that life cycle assessment and getting into a program like an accelerated program that was focused purely on hardware really helped open our minds into what would be the right approach. And what we found at the end of that is the right approach for us was to eliminate or circumvent unnecessary packaging in our product range. So we ended up going with the one product format that didn't really require any secondary packaging, and that was a solid format shampoo bar.
Plus, since it is solid format, right? It's very difficult to ship liquids in paper because if you do, they will be lined again, which decreases the recyclability and
exactly. And it also made us question a lot in terms of our product development. We always knew we wanted to be a brand that did things differently and stand out for the right reasons. The environmental approach was definitely one of those. And then taking that bold decision to kind of park all of these this product development that we invested 2 years in to the side and just focus on the one product that we can start or enter the market with and tell our story with was probably the boldest but the wisest decision, because for us there's no option right now or two ways or any regrets about any other product format at this stage. We feel that the product that we have does more than it should and does quite a lot. So when we were focused on going packaging free, eliminating plastic, eliminating glass, eliminating aluminium or any other material, just felt, okay, this is the right thing to do. So what we wanted to do is also push ourselves and get that product to work harder and address other issues that were overconsumption in the beauty industry. And, sustainable development goal number 12, overconsumption and production, is almost like our cardinal and the mantra that we do everything that needs to respect that goal. And we find that everything else falls into place. So having a shampoo bar that just washes your hair just didn't feel like it was good enough or disruptive or really cutting it, because solid format products have been around a long time, thanks to other pioneers in this category. So we wanted to get that product to work hard and in a green way. So, why couldn't a shampoo also condition your hair? And if you're washing your hair, your face is getting wet. So doesn't it make sense to have a product that works there and here? And if you've got a beard, work on your beard as well. So I tested these products on myself, and having spent all of these years in the industry, I knew exactly what I wanted in terms of the efficacy, the texture, the payoff, the scent, all of that luxury, that feel of the product. That's really, really important. Together with a product that has a minimal impact on the environment and helps you use fewer products. So we, worked on those formulas with some cosmetic chemists, and eventually was settled and satisfied on products that work hard and help you use or replace up to 4 or 5 different products from your bathroom.
That's fantastic. And I'm just reminded of, I recently attended a keynote by someone, or a workshop by someone who did extensive marketing for Apple, and primarily the iPod. And he mentioned a sentence for launching new products, which is like, take what people know and combine it with the new, and then you have something beautiful, right? And listening to you now and looking at my own products that, or at the marketing that I usually see, is like, for men, it's always like 3-in-1. It's like you can use the shampoo basically for your hair, and you can brush your teeth with it. It almost feels like that, right? It's like buy one product. So the question is if the men's bathroom is by definition already more sustainable than other categories. But so this is an element, I think, that's pretty well known in that category for men. But the new part is really putting that into a solid bar form, which is obviously fantastic because it's also easy to transport, right? There's so many benefits in it. And the one thing that I also keep saying is, I think that there is a certain percentage of people in the world who actively want to change their behavior to see a more livable, a cleaner planet, a more sustainable planet. But the challenge is going to be, how do we convince how do we get the 99% of people who don't want to change their behavior on that path with us, right? And I open question to you is like, what's the feedback like from your community? Because it is a slight behavior change, right? From going from a squeeze bottle where you just squeeze out the shampoo and ready to use, to using a solid buff form block.
Yeah.
Is there any insights, any learnings from that? How do you go about it? Who's your customer?
Yeah, all great questions. And I think you touched on some very interesting points there. The first one I'd like to address would be, we spoke about those multi all-in-one, 20-in-1. I've even seen products that are for men. And I think that comes a double-edged sword, because there's a misconception that multitasking products might compromise in terms of efficacy, or just feel like watered down, or a lot of BS. But we're there to change that. So firstly, I think it's important to recognize that multitasking products can be as efficacious as the separate products, and doing it in a way that's still plant-based, zero waste, plastic-free, and free from any kind of microbeads and microplastics. A lot of those products that claim to be 20-in-1, 7-in-1, tend to be watered down and in a plastic container, which goes against everything that we stand for. With who the customer is, we have had the privilege of working in real life physical retail pop-ups, getting to engage and speak to our customers in real life, which is incredible, because first it helps us test our messaging. Secondly, it helps us see if there's any interest in what we're doing, because to us it might seem the best thing in the world, and it's helping the planet, and ticks a lot of boxes. But would somebody part with their money? And for us, I'd say from all genders and all ages, we find that the message lands. People are really interested in making lifestyle choices that firstly helps them and leads to something that's a lot more practical. in terms of, checking a box when you're traveling, yes, it makes sense. And we had a pop-up last week in King's Cross in London, and we had loads of people just passing through, and this totally made sense for them. The fact that it is for all genders also checks boxes. So we don't find that it's just men that are interested in what we're doing. Anyone and everyone seems to find it like it makes sense. I think one of the challenges is there's so much of mixed messaging out there in the industry that people are so confused. And once you simplify and you just tone down on all of the noise, the key messages on what the product does, why it does, what it says it does, and the fact that it's eliminating products would be a secondary benefit. The fact that it's reducing the amount of plastic and water feels like a secondary benefit to a lot of people. And now with the cost of living crisis, and people might not have the disposable income to shop several different products, one product that does so many things in a green way seems to kind of just really hit that spot.
No, I mean, it definitely hits the spot with me. It's again, a very interesting point, because I think, especially when launching a new brand, right, the environmental performance obviously plays a role and is important. But the product also needs to convince, right? And if these two things are combined really, really well, I think you can see big success cases. And on that point that you mentioned earlier, right, with the several different products, it's interesting because I mentioned that in the intro. I spoke to another founder, and she's more into creams, facial creams, and she also says like this entire gender difference doesn't really make a lot of sense in many ways. And also, like, having different creams for different parts of your face doesn't really make sense. It's like there's certain things in the cream that need to be there. Her portfolio is 5 products also, and she says this is the first step to reduce overconsumption, right? By giving out performance products where you don't have to buy 20 different products, and then you throw them away after half the usage because, I don't know, the shelf life is bad or whatever, or you realize actually I don't need cream for my nighttime eye routine or whatever. I found that very interesting, and then I also saw that on your website, I think there's also 5 soap bars.
So we do, so they're shampoo bars.
Sorry, shampoo bar.
We do 4 different types of bars, and how we
plus the
solutions. Yeah,
the back, right?
Yeah, so it's something I don't leave home without.
Yeah.
So it's 4 bars that we do, and 2 travel or storage solutions. So 6 SKUs. But with these bars, how we approach it is we address different skin and scalp concerns that people have. So if you're prone to sensitivity, and every customer has sensitive skin, right? If you're prone to sensitivity or finer hair, then we have a bar that addresses that, because every ingredient in our formulation has a different property or function. So we address issues like itchy, flaky scalp, particularly this time of year, or if people have issues with symptoms related to dandruff or eczema, then we have a bar that addresses that using functional ingredients like peppermint, rosemary, neem, nettle leaf, etc. If we're looking at somebody that has concerns with blemishes or congested skin build up on their scalp, we do a bar that addresses that, and we use ingredients that are functional to address those issues, like upcycled oak fencing that has the same absorbent properties as activated charcoal. So we try our best to just use vegan, plant-based ingredients or upcycled ingredients if they're available in these formulas. So we're doing things in a responsible way. But these are, I'd say, foundational or fundamental products in a cleansing routine, whether it's cleansing your hair, your face, your body, you needed a product to shave. We provide one solution that does all of these. We do recognize that there might be a need for specialist products, depending on people's concern.
Yeah, sure. I mean, also if you have medical conditions, right? Or,
but for us, we think for majority of the population, we can provide an alternative to diluted, water-based products in plastic containers to help you effect some kind of change. Now, the policies out there is not effecting a change to help with climate change, right? We know that, and it's going to take a long time. So for us, when we apply logic to what we do and why we exist, it's about empowering individuals like us to make small changes in our lifestyle with our consumption habits. So if we could, prevent buying 4 different products to wash, cleanse the face and the hair and even the body and for shaving, and just replace that with one product that's zero waste and plastic free, then that's a great change we're making, because less than 9% of these plastics are being recycled. So what's happening to the rest of it? Our customers don't really know, because there's so much of information out there with recycled plastic, post-consumer recycled plastic, our cartons contain this and it contains that. So customers are confused because everything is presented in a very interesting or attractive way, right? And we feel that there's a lot more of an opportunity for especially small brands that's starting from scratch, that have no excuse not to do things in a sustainable or responsible way. We have a responsibility to inform our consumers and be very transparent about what we're doing and how we're doing it.
And I think that alone already makes your gives your name of Disruptor so much more meaning, because I think that behavior in itself is already quite disruptive. And you just touched on a very important point, right? It's like you are an up and coming brand and started during COVID, so still relatively new to the market, and at the same time you have 20 years of experience in the industry itself. Like, what are the biggest differences for you? And maybe also if there's people listening who want to start their own business and are looking to go down the route of saying, okay, I think the world needs better products that combine great usability, like a great performant product, but with a completely different outline for what it means environmentally using the product. How is it different than running a bigger or working in a bigger company?
How is it different is like we have to sometimes teach ourselves how to unlearn a lot of bad habits and unlearn a lot that we've been taught and told over the years, particularly when it comes to these, outdated skin and hair care regimes. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And once we apply a bit of logic and also think about our pockets, right, especially given the current climate, it's important to be honest with consumers about consumerism overall. We come from a background and an industry that's telling us we need the one extra product or the 2 extra products because we're going to feel better, but we don't really feel better, especially when we
rarely. After the dopamine kick hits, like you look at your bank account and it's more the stress hormone. I always mistake it for cholesterol. I can't remember the name for a stress hormone.
Exactly. So, what we do need people, we think going down this route of entrepreneurship is probably one of the most difficult, courageous, but exhilarating things I've done. So I have no regrets. It can be very lonely sometimes. So building a good community of other founders, etc., is great. But it's people like ourselves that can make the difference. And I think a lot of people, by doing small changes or talking openly about these things to other people can be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what always strikes me is we as a company, as CleanHub, right? The majority of brands supporting what we do are actually small and medium-sized businesses, often 1, 2, 3 man shows or women shows, up and coming brands that let's say, yeah, it's like we totally agree that these things need to happen. Where as soon as you start with bigger corporates, the conversations get much more difficult. So it's great to see. You would have every excuse in the world to say, it's like, no, we need to reinvest every single dollar into our own business, but that you spare money out of every purchase to invest in cleaning up and building waste management infrastructure where there is none, to actively and beyond what you already do prevent pollution is, I think, incredibly laudable and yet another reason to love what you're doing. So thank you very much for that trust as well.
No, I actually came across CleanHub Nikki last year at a conference, and I was so inspired about everything you guys are doing. And we got in touch with Matteo and the team. It was exactly a year ago, just before Christmas, when we signed up. And at that stage, we were not even making any sales. So we committed to a certain amount that we would collect this year, and we're on target to achieve that. So we're very pleased with that. But I think more than your company, we feel, having met most of you at a pickup in London, and just the constant engagement and dialogue with your team, it's more like a community and a family for us. Especially being a small business, when somebody makes the time to pick up the phone or to do something like this, it speaks volumes. And I think with the bigger corporates, they have such complex infrastructures and business models that to effect any kind of change, even if the desire is there, it's really, really complicated, and it takes years before it can happen. But I think there is an opportunity for that shift to take place. And we're seeing that happening slowly. So
and I think the call to action for everyone listening, right, it's like to support these businesses that are trying to do things differently, because in the end we vote for the future that we want to see every day with our wallets. And if we keep giving money to the organizations that are not aligned with the values that we have, then nothing's going to change. So
and we created this mess in the last 50 years. So,
that's true.
while we're still around, we need to put measures in place for the future generations to help them clean it up, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. And I hope next year we're going to sit here again and have a conversation again, and then we can hear all about the crazy achievements that you have next year, and hopefully also all the good stuff that my team is putting on the road. I think there's a lot coming. I'm very much looking forward to 2024.
Yes.
And the thing that you mentioned is like that this feels more as a community is a big compliment, not only to me but to everyone involved. And I'm super happy to have these relationships, to have these conversations, because for me personally, it's also always a beacon of hope. And I think hope can be something very, very positive, by the way, that different reality is possible. And yeah, to everyone, go check out Disruptor, Disruptor London. Change your bathroom routine. It's absolutely worth it. And I hope that we get to speak again next year.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Wish you all the best and your team over the holiday season.
Thank you. And the same to you. Have a good one, Sira.
Bye.
Bye.